The following podcast contains movie spoilers and mature content, including graphic descriptions of violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Opening Kill, the podcast that dives deep into the chilling world of horror films. Every other Thursday, we explore a different movie, from cult classics to modern masterpieces, uncovering behind-the-scenes secrets, analyzing themes, and sharing spine-tingling trivia. Join us as we chat with filmmakers, actors, and fellow horror enthusiasts to celebrate the art of fear in cinema. And now, the hosts of Opening Kill, Michael Duran and Brian O'Connor.
Well, hello, Michael Duran.
Hello, Brian O'Connor.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
We have a ton of things to talk about on this episode.
We do. This is a juicy one.
Literally a juicy one.
Juicy, juicy, juicy.
It is the Opening Kill podcast, all things horror, where each week we take a certain horror film and highlight it, dissect it, and tell you all about it. So, as the top of the show said, we're going to give a lot of stuff away. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it and then come back and listen to this episode. If you don't care, keep listening. If you have seen it, join us in the discussion here.
Absolutely.
I mean, talk to yourself while we talk to you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, but
that doesn't mean you can't share your thoughts.
Exactly. So our movie, we'll get into it here. It is, of course, the holiday classic Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah, from 1984.
We'll get into that. I want to do a big shout out to our friends at the Jaunty Haunts podcast.
Yeah.
Courtney and Sierra. If you have not checked this podcast out, this is amazing. Courtney actually can see ghosts.
Yeah, it was just super cool.
It is super cool. She didn't tell anybody forever because she didn't, want any bad reaction from people or whatever, because people can be dicks.
Yeah, there's generally not going to be. People are just going to, suck.
But they can. I mean, if you don't believe, that's one thing, whatever, fine. But don't be a jerk about it. So anyway, she started this podcast. It's funny because they started theirs the same week we did ours. They drop every Monday, and they dropped the Monday of Halloween week. We dropped on Halloween.
That's crazy.
It's weekly. Check it out on, they're on Spotify and all kinds of
they're on everything.
They're on everything just like us. So I actually just recorded an episode with them.
That's rad.
So it'll be out. I'll let you know when it comes out. But
I'm
we had a lot
excited
of
to
fun.
hear that.
Yeah, they're great. Jaunty Haunts podcast. So make sure you check that out. We are growing.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody who is listening to us and sticking with us. I want to say hi to new listeners over in the UK.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
I don't know. We're global.
Yeah, I know. We're the Globetrotters, basically.
Absolutely. So thank you all the way across the pond for checking out the Opening Kill podcast. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, share it. We want to go to France, too.
Yeah, we do. Share it. So what interesting movies or movie did you see since we talked last?
So I've seen a couple. I was able to watch The Substance with Demi Moore. Fantastic.
Okay.
Oh, my God. It's a really beautiful film. Body horror, though, so generally not one of my favorites, but this is something that I think will be a crime if she's not nominated. I probably won't be, but, she definitely deserves it. Really just sad story that I feel like most people who, ever dealt with something with aging is going to really resonate with this. And then I've also seen There's Something in the Barn, which is a really fun Christmas movie.
Okay.
It involves an American family that moves to Norway, and there's some barn elves that live in their barn, and they don't treat them respectfully, and so things go amiss for them. And that one's, I'd say it leans probably a little bit more into the comedy than the horror, but there's still like some cool kills and definitely horror elements. But that one was incredibly fun. It's on, I listed it as one of our 25 days of Christmas horror on Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to follow along for those Christmas recommendations, it was one of them. And yeah, it was a blast.
That's awesome. So Werewolves is out. This is the movie that I touched on, 2 weeks ago. I wanted to see it before this podcast. This episode, I got swamped and couldn't do it. I'm actually going from here. Once we're done recording, I'm going to the theater to go see it tonight.
Hell yeah.
For a late night showing because it looks really good. I mean, it's kind of like it does look like a werewolf type version of The Purge in a way. You know, supermoon happens, people turn into werewolves, millions of people die. It goes forward 1 year where it's about to happen again, and people are losing their shit.
We've got to figure a way to stop this from killing people.
Exactly. The one movie that I did watch, we did go to theaters to see, was Heretic.
I want to see that one.
Oh my gosh. This is probably some of Hugh Grant's best work.
Yeah.
It's an intelligent horror film, intelligently written, brilliantly acted, and just sufficiently creepy. Not gory. It had a few moments, but nothing, but it will really make you just sit in your seat and go, ooh.
I was like intrigued by it, by the trailer. I was just like, what is going on with this one? It looks kind of, is it like as crazy as the trailers made it seem?
It's crazier than the trailer. The trailer was pretty tame. It really got more and it got deeper and deeper into religion. They talk about not just the Mormon religion, because it's about two Mormon churchgoers that show up and they're doing their calls, going door to door, and they go to this guy's house, and he invites them in, even though they're not supposed to go inside unless there's two adults there. And he says, "Oh, my wife is, you know, she's baking pie or whatever." Well, I don't want to give away spoilers because it's still pretty new, so if you haven't seen it, but anyway, they end up in the house and they can't get out, and it's like I said, it's a very smart movie, and I think you would enjoy it. I certainly did. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was even better than I was expecting. So go see Heretic. And again, Werewolves, I'll report back here in a couple of weeks because I'm going to go check that out tonight. But that's one that I really have been looking forward to.
Yeah, hopefully by the time we talk again, I'll have seen it too, because I want to see it as well.
Yep, definitely. Well worth the watch. So I think it is about that time we get into our Nightmare News Flash. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, what do you have?
So I've got another Scream 7 update, because that's probably what I'll be doing for whenever any information drops. We've got another cast member, Asa German. He is going to, I'm assuming, be one of the friend groups. He looks to be about that age. And yeah, he hasn't really done much, so I'm kind of excited to see what he's capable of. He has done The Boys. I don't know if you've seen that show on Amazon Prime. It's like the superhero show. It's really fucked up. It's fun though. So yeah, he's in that, and that's kind of really his only named claim to fame. So we'll see what he's got. But we've got more cast members for Scream 7. It's starting to fill out, and I'm excited. Still no Courtney Cox news though.
No.
Don't know if she's going to be in it. I can't imagine she's not, though.
I can't imagine she's not either. So the trailer just dropped for a movie I'm really excited about, Bloody Axe Wound.
Yes.
This is from writer and director Matthew John Lawrence. He directed Uncle Peckerhead, 2 Pints Lighter, and several other short films. He's relatively new. He doesn't do a lot of feature work. Right? So, John Squires from Bloody Disgusting describes Bloody Axe Wound, the film's premise, as: what if Jason Voorhees had a daughter who wanted to take up her killer dad's mantle?
Love it.
Right? Film stars Siri Arambolo as a teenager by the name of Abby, living in a small town, and her father actually records real-life killings of people on tape and then sells them to customers who just can't wait to get their hands on it.
He's got like a snuff film business.
Pretty much. And Abby gets involved in the family business. As she gets more involved, she decides maybe it needs to go in a different direction. Film also stars, I love this, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I love.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
He's wonderful. And Billy Burke as well. The film will be in theaters coming up here on December 27th. So check
it's kind
that
of
out.
given me the rise of Leslie Vernon. You ever watch that one?
Yeah.
I'm excited. That should be a good one.
All right. Well, here we are getting into our featured film of the week. This thing, wow. It's kind of like, where do we even begin with it? Because it came out, I was wasn't even a teenager yet when this came out. So when it came out in 1984, I was not aware of the controversy, which we'll touch on throughout this episode. We're talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night. It was originally titled Sleigh Ride.
Yeah.
And in fact, there is a song on the soundtrack of original music that is called Sleigh Rider, which was meant for that, but directed by Charles Sellier Jr., released November 9th, 1984, which means last month it turned 40 years old.
Wow.
Thing was shot in Heber City in Midway, Utah between March and April of 83 on a budget of $750,000. made $2.5 million
All right.
in its short theatrical run. We'll tell you about that too. And it's kind of interesting if you watch this movie while they were there shooting. This is April, May. Most of the snow was melting. And so
Yeah.
they had to scramble to get their exterior shots done. And you can see.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain scenes where you can tell, oh, it's been warming up because there's like patches of snow. It's not like looking like it should.
Right. It looks very springtime.
Very, very fun to watch those little details. This movie has a pretty different vibe about it. It's really one of those 80s movies. It does have a lot of very, very 80s cheesy moments in it.
But also dark as hell.
It is very dark. There's nothing redeeming about this from beginning to end.
Not really,
It's very, very dark. So when this thing got released, it became one of the most controversial films ever, and it is still known as one of the most controversial film of the 1980s. They were actually running TV commercials as part of their marketing for it inside family-friendly TV shows like Little House on the Prairie.
I love that.
They'd go to commercial, and then you'd see these commercials for this movie with a killer Santa in it. The studio was more concerned that they would get some blowback from people, and because of how the Catholic Church was portrayed. They didn't think that the Santa thing was a big deal because there was a movie that came out about 4 years earlier called Christmas Evil.
Yes.
It was kind of the same thing where there was a killer Santa, but that film kind of flew under the radar a little bit. So
that one's weird.
It's very
Have you
weird.
seen it?
I have.
Yeah, that was a bizarre one.
It's very weird, and it didn't get the attention.
Yeah.
And so no one really cared about it. So they thought, oh, well, they got away with it. So, hey, we're going to do this.
There will be no problem.
That's not what happened. They were expecting controversy, small controversy with the Catholic Church, but not expecting it to go the other way. And it was all about the Santa and the imagery there. And I mean, you had groups of angry parents that were protesting outside of theaters and malls and trying to get it shut down. So
was there any blowback about the Catholic Church? That was fine.
That was fine.
Okay,
that was fine. It was just parents were now thinking, oh my God, our kids are traumatized because now they're seeing this image of Santa Claus that is going to scar them for life.
Well, maybe behave.
Yeah. Or you'll be punished.
Exactly.
Now, punish is a theme we're going to talk about with this film.
Oh, yes.
So the thing is, this controversy caused TriStar Pictures to actually pull the film after 10 days. 10 days. It made $2.5 million in 10 days, and they pulled it.
For a horror movie back in the 80s, that's insane.
That would never happen today. Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Any publicity is good publicity. That's how it's viewed today.
And, you know, it was making money. And who knows how much it would have gone on to make. So it had already more than doubled its profit based on what it was made for.
Dang.
So more than doubled. And they pulled it. So, I mean, and compared to something like Terrifier today, this thing is lame.
Is so tame.
Yeah. So that was the big controversy. There's more we'll touch on as we go here, but just in a nutshell, before we get into the details here, the story follows the traumatic tale of Billy, who's a young boy, witnesses his parents' just brutal murder by a man dressed as Santa Claus. Then he and his kid brother, who is an infant, basically at the beginning of the movie, they get sent to an orphanage. And Billy grows up with a fear and a hatred of Christmas. As an adult, he takes a job at a toy store, and his repressed memories resurface, especially when the store Santa breaks his ankle. And so the owner of the store, who has no knowledge of this kid's past, he knew his parents were dead, but he didn't know how, says, okay, you have to be Santa now. And Billy's like, I don't want to do this. But he does. And obviously, this triggers him.
Yeah,
and
shit goes south real quick.
Oh, it doesn't take long.
No.
And so basically, he, throughout the movie, punishes those people that he deems naughty.
Yeah.
And again, it sparked all of this controversy. So, and that's the nutshell version of it. Let's get into a little more
let's
of a
dive
deep
into
dive.
The meat and potatoes of it all.
It starts out pleasant enough with a little car ride with the fam.
Going to see Gramps.
Going to see crazy grandpa who is in the mental institution.
Yeah,
This was a
Is it
weird
okay
scene.
I hate Grandpa?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, I did not enjoy my time with him.
No, I didn't
He's
either.
such a creep.
He was. So they show up there and he's not speaking. He's like
He's been like
catatonic,
for
right?
like years. I think it's just been. Yeah, he just chills. Seems like he's living a great life.
Yeah, it does. And so the parents, for whatever reason, they leave with the orderly and
I don't
leave
even know why they took the kids to visit Grandpa.
I don't know either. So Billy's now alone with Grandpa, who all of a sudden looks at him and starts talking to him. They have this creepy conversation about how Santa's going to punish you if you're not good. That whole scene was just weird. I don't know if it was needed.
No.
I mean, it does kind of set up the Santa thing a little bit more and reinforces
it was definitely not needed.
No.
It just makes the whole thing like what was it that brought this guy out of it for like 2 seconds?
Yep.
It's weird and I don't like it.
It is very, very strange. And then they leave, and then it cuts to a convenience store, and then we have 9 minutes and 19 seconds into the film.
Opening kill.
All right, so this is the opening kill. It's not it's kind of a Santa kill, but it's not a Billy Santa kill. The main killer. This is basically a convenience store where a man dressed in a Santa suit comes in and it looks like he's going to buy something. Then he pulls a gun on the clerk, and the clerk's like, "What are you doing?" It's a holdup, you idiot.
Right? Give me the money in the drawer.
Instead of giving him the money, he pulls a gun.
Absolutely.
But he's not quick enough, and bad Santa blows the guy away.
Yeah, he gets like a chest shot, and then we do get a cool like little headshot effect, and
That was cool.
That was a nice little effect
That was cool. Yeah, because the bad Santa reaches into the till to pull out all of $31, by the way.
Made out like a bandit.
Which he was pissed about that when he realizes how little money was in there. But as he's getting the money out, the clerk is like trying to get one more shot off. So he shoots him again. That headshot was absolutely cool.
I love a little whenever there's a little effect where he's like, blood spout out the forehead.
Then we go back to the family, and they're driving down the road, minding their own damn business. Yeah. And what do they come across? Oh, it's Bad Santa. His car is broken down. Now, do you think his car was actually broken down, or was he waiting for somebody?
I think he was just waiting.
Okay.
I mean, well,
but
maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't know. But
who knows?
Anyway,
why do crazy people do crazy stuff?
It's hard to know, right?
Is.
So they roll up on him. There's bad Santa, and he comes up to the car, and they're like, "Hey, Santa, you need a ride?" And shoots Dad and kills him right out.
Just point blank.
Yep, exactly. You've got young Billy in the back seat. You've got his infant brother sitting next to him,
in his car seat.
Oh wait,
Can we talk about how I think it was on the drive to Grandpa that the mom just is holding baby infant kid?
Yeah. Remember, this is the 80s. Seatbelts hadn't exactly caught on yet.
Yeah, car seats aren't mandatory.
Yeah, they were mandatory. So now, there's Mom, and he pulls Mom out, and this is pretty ugly to watch.
Icky.
Yeah, it's pretty icky. He basically sexually assaults her and then slits her neck, slits her throat. In the meantime, little Billy has run out of the car.
Yeah. He's hiding in the bushes on the side of the road, and he's left his baby brother in the car.
That's in my synopsis too. It's like, oh, leave the kid. Well, the kid's screaming. I mean, I guess strategically we won't. He'll give my position away if I take him, right?
Right.
So anyway, he does that. And so he's watching these brutal murders, and he sees it. And so obviously he's going to be messed up here for quite some time. And that's when we cut to a few years later. I think it's 3 years later, and we're at the orphanage.
Yeah, it's like a Catholic orphanage.
It is.
And
this is where the producers in the studio thought they were going to get in trouble because Mother Superior is just a biatch.
She sucks.
Oh, my God.
I fucking hate her.
She's definitely one of those hardcore disciplinarians, spankings and other horrible things she does to these children.
Kids don't need love. They need discipline.
Exactly. That's it. And then you have Sister Margaret, she's the sweetie. She's probably my favorite character, the only one I really care about. Most part.
She's kind of the only redeemable one.
She really is. And she gets the fact that Billy has just, had witnessed this horrible, horrible thing and is not well.
Yeah, he's got a thing called trauma.
Yes. Yes, that's never been dealt with.
No.
And Mother Superior doesn't buy into that. She just thinks he needs some hardcore discipline, and that's going to be it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what goes on. And so Billy is punished a lot. He's spanked. There's one scene where, and this sucks because Sister Margaret comes and gets him out of bed and says, "Why don't you go play with the others?" And he gets in trouble for getting out of his bedroom.
Right. Like
And so-
Margaret's trying to do something nice
Yeah.
and just ends up
Yeah.
getting him beat.
Well, and then Mother Superior ends up tying him to the bed, ties his arms and legs
Yeah.
to the bed so he can't get out of bed and wander around anymore. So there was that. So it's just a horrible, horrible place. There's one scene where he's wandering down the hall and he hears these sounds. And so he peeks. Yeah. He peeks through a keyhole in one of these doors, one of these dorm rooms, and there's two teenagers.
Who are these people?
I don't even know. I
They
thought it
don't
was
look like
No.
orphans.
well, they were not orphaned at that point.
No.
They were getting busy.
They were at home.
So he sees them having sex, and that's kind of triggering because now he's having a flashback to
His
mom
mom
seeing
being
his mom
raped,
getting
yeah.
getting assaulted, and Mother Superior sneaks up behind him and busts into the room and starts beating the crap out of these two with her belt or with his belt.
Yeah.
So punished, have to be punished.
Yep. Sex bad.
Sex bad, especially there. So just not a very nice person. So
And then he gets beat
he does.
because he happened to witness something.
No, he got beat because he beat the shit out of the Santa
Oh, that's
Claus that
right.
showed up.
Yeah.
That's why he got beat. She
forgot about
made
that.
him sit on, so they had a Santa Claus come visit, and she made him sit on his lap. Well, he obviously freaked out, and the Santa's like grabbing onto him, trying to get him to hold still.
And
he
it wasn't his first time freaking out. He did this every year.
Right.
And like she was just like still just being like, nope, we're going to force him to do this. And
Exactly. And so Billy, he's like, 11, 12 years old, hauls off and punches the guy, gives him a bloody nose. And that's when Mother Superior gets the belt out and goes after him. And then, yeah, it's not a pleasant place.
if you don't like child abuse, don't watch this movie.
Man.
There's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it verbally and physically.
Yeah, it sucks.
And then we're going to jump ahead 10 years.
Yeah.
And now little Billy's not so little anymore.
No, he's
like-
hunky Billy.
He's hunky Billy. And he gets a job at kind of a local 5 and dime type of a store.
Yeah.
Now, this is a scene that you really, really like.
I loved it. I thought
And
it was the greatest.
First of all, what the hell was he wearing? That smock-like thing that looked like he was about to like bake a pie or something, and he's running around stocking shelves and putting together, a display items and toys and stuff. And he's wearing this dumbass, not even a robe. I don't know what it was, like a smock or something.
yeah.
It's like, okay, low budget. The costumes definitely didn't show up to the set that day. And
One
they
of the people
grabbed-
wear at toy stores?
Yeah.
Smocks.
But I'll let you go into the rest of the scene
Oh,
because I just
golly.
it went on too long in my opinion, and it was just so cheesy.
It didn't go on long enough in mine. So we get this musical number. I mean, none of the characters are singing, but you have this little like early 80s family sitcom opening sequence music playing. It's like I think it might be an original for the movie. I'm
think
not
it is.
entirely
No, I
sure.
think it is.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
called like The Warm Side of the Door. And it's just so catchy. And you just see this work montage set to this music. And it does go on. Every time you're like, okay, it's gonna be winding down. Like, nope, here comes another verse. And I loved it, Brian.
Okay. I just am shaking my head watching it. I'd forgotten this. I had seen this. I didn't see it when it first came out. I was too young, but I did see it later on, and I didn't remember the scene. I think I blocked it out of my mind. But because everybody, it's like, you're right. It's like a sitcom opening. Everybody's smiling really
Oh,
big
yeah.
at each other, and it's all like, look at us. And this is,
I'm going to put something on the shelf. Thumbs up.
Exactly. So we go through this whole sequence, and it's interesting to watch. And he's got I don't know if the guy is his actual supervisor, but he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, I think he's just like, they have to work with each other, but they
Yeah.
don't really work together a lot because he's in the back.
Right. And they don't work well. They
No.
don't really care for each other. The guy's name was Andy.
Because don't they
And,
like the same girl? Isn't there like a weird dynamic
there's
there?
a weird
with it?
there is a weird dynamic there. Yeah. They both, Billy's getting into girls, and he's got his eye on this one, and so does Andy. But Andy's going to lose here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So we talked about the store Santa breaking his ankle, and the store owner, Mr. Sims, says, "All right, you're going to be Santa," and he does it. And it's kind of a funny sequence.
It is.
because
Like, yeah.
they're standing there, the owner of the store and his manager standing there or the store manager, they're standing back watching with these kids.
And just out of earshot,
Yeah.
so where they can't hear what's being said.
And she's like, he just has such a way with kids.
Yeah. Oh,
And
my
it
God.
Cuts back to him with this little girl. He's threatening her with bodily harm if she doesn't shut up because she's whimpering and crying. And
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, pretty much. And, he's just so good with kids. Like, no, not really.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He shouldn't be
he's not.
around him, frankly.
So they have a Christmas party, and to celebrate that Christmas is finally over, so they close up the store. They're drinking. They're having a good time. This is where Andy starts to go after Pamela, who's the female employee that Billy also likes. And so there's not many people that work at this store. So Pamela and Andy kind of disappear. Pamela's not really into him as much, but
I think he just gets her to go to the back to says he's going to show her something or something. Yeah, it's not like she's trying to go hook up with this dude.
Exactly. And the thing is, nobody really notices they're gone, which is amazing because I think there's only 5 employees total at this store. But anyway, they disappear and Billy kind of stumbles in on him. And so Andy is kissing her and trying to go further, and she's telling him no. And then
no doesn't work for him.
No, does not work.
No,
and he rips her shirt open and kind of starts to do more than he should be.
And that's also a huge trigger because that's exactly what the Santa did to his mom. Exactly. It was the rip the shirt open thing. So it's just like, shit's going to go bad.
It's almost a frame by frame, comparison. And so he does. He goes kind of crazy. And now we're getting to what is probably my favorite kill. And for those of you keeping track at home, this will be kill number 4. We have a new opening kill tracker.
Yeah.
So this is what we do. So we're up to kill number 4. Andy, he goes up to him, rips him off of Pamela, and with a string of Christmas lights, wraps it around his neck and lifts him up off the ground.
Yeah, he is the hanging noose thing. Yeah. He's got it.
He's got it. No support. He's just his own body strength.
He's a Hulk.
Yeah, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, he just gets hung, but in a very festive way, though.
It was very festive, as festive as you can be hung by a string of Christmas lights.
You're like, oh, I'm dying, but it's very Christmassy.
And Pamela can react 2 different ways. She can be like, oh my God, you saved me, but maybe you shouldn't have taken it too far. But she freaks out and calls him crazy, which not good. He doesn't respond well to that. So he basically takes out a box knife and guts her from
I was kind of surprised he went so hard on her.
I am too.
You kind of just strangled the rapist dude, and then you just gutted the victim.
I know. I think at this point he's so far gone.
He's gone. This last snapped, trigger, and he's gone. Billy is no more.
Yeah, this last trigger really did him in and got him going. So we move on. Mr. Sims, who is the owner of the store, is now completely drunk.
He might be the most drunk I've ever seen a human being.
I know. He really was. I recognize that actor. I don't have his name in front of me, but he had been in a lot of TV and everything. He was probably... There were a couple of actors we'll talk about here later, but he had a really familiar face. But he goes stumbling back there to look for
where's his employees?
Where'd everybody go? And he had heard noises, and so he goes back there and for all of his efforts, he's rewarded with a hammer claw to the top of his head. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah, that's a doozy.
Yeah, there was no hesitation on Billy's part at this point. Anybody who moves, if you're breathing and have a pulse, you're gonna die.
And with that one, I was like, how is he naughty?
Yeah.
He was a little drunk. Maybe it's that drinking bad too. So
could be, and who knows what they were drinking. But and Billy actually did drink too, and he had not drink. He didn't drink.
That probably didn't help.
Yeah, because remember there was that one scene when he's in the back office and Andy pulls out like some whiskey and tries to offer him some, and he pulls a thing of milk out of his little lunchbox during that obnoxious
No
scene.
whiskey for me. No whiskey. I drink milk.
That's right, to go with his lunch. Anyway,
should have tipped him off to this guy's not okay.
I know, right? So that is kill number 6 with Mr. Sims, and that leaves only one other employee in the building, and that is Mrs. Randall. She is the store manager who works for Mr. Sims, and the fact that she has heard nothing at this point is pretty amazing. But she is kind of wandering around the store and then realizes as she sees the dead bodies, now she knows she's in trouble. Well, the thing is, they've locked the store up for the night, so she tries to get out and it's locked. She doesn't have a key on her, and so there's a little bit of a cat and mouse game here where Billy's chasing her around with an axe. And he thinks he's got her, and he jumps around the corner and swings, and it's not her, but she's behind him. And she pushes him over, gets the axe, and she's about to break out the window to get out when...
Gets hit with an arrow.
There you go.
He's got a bow and arrow. Where'd he find it? Who knows?
Who knows?
But he's got one, and he's very efficient with it.
So the thing about this store that they work in, Ira's is what it's called, they have a little bit of everything.
They do. Like,
You know?
originally when I was watching, I thought it was just a toy store, but it's definitely not. It's
not just a toy store. It's got lots of things. By the way, in real life, it was an abandoned building. It is now a gym.
okay.
So you can go there and work out in that location.
Pump some iron. That's rad.
There you go. And Mrs. Randall, kill number 7. Then it gets a little random because we're going to go, Billy's going to go walking. And
I don't know how he finds this place because we just cut to a couple of teens kind of just starting to get it on a pool table.
Yes.
And we learn that this one of the teens is babysitting a kid at the house.
Little girl.
So yeah, this makes it a very random chance encounter between everybody. But this is my favorite scene.
Is it really?
Yeah, this kill. I think
it's pretty good.
it's unique.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
I think for its time too.
Oh yeah,
Because I've seen things similar now.
right. But like this was the first of its kind, and one of the shots like after it's done is just like, oh wow, it's great.
So we're talking about kills number 8 and 9. Those are going to be Denise and Tommy.
Denise and Tommy. So yeah, Denise is here's the kid she's babysitting, and the kid starts to like come down the stairs, and they're like, oh crap, we gotta go. Okay, let's go.
Because they're about to have sex on the pool table.
On the pool table,
There you
the
go.
best place to do it.
That's comfortable.
Yeah. Great for your back. And
Maybe they have back problems. Maybe they need
they are
support.
young. That's true. They're fine, probably. So yeah, Denise runs up stairs to stop her, and this is when Billy just like axes his way through the door.
So the funny thing is, they're getting ready to go at it again, and he's pissed off anyway because not Billy, but Tommy, because there's Christmas carolers across the street, and it's breaking his concentration. So he gets up and he turns on some just cheesy porn music on the radio, and then they get back to it. She starts hearing his jingle bells. Billy's jingle bells. She thinks it's the cat wanting to come in.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So here we go. Another movie with a cat,
I
like
know.
we did in Thanksgiving. So she gets out there and she goes back up and opens the door, calling for the cat.
No cat.
No cat. Finally, the cat comes running in, but that's not all that comes running in.
So does Billy with an axe and his little
she
Santa get up.
slams the door on him, and then, he goes crazy and axes his way through that door.
Yeah, he goes all Jack Torrance from The Shining, and then there's a little struggle. He grabs her, lifts her up, and impales her on a mounted deer's antlers.
Isn't that great?
It's you see the antlers starting to come out from the stomach, and it's just like, it's gross.
Yep.
And then this is my favorite scene is this, you just pans back and you just see her stuck up on there.
What was interesting, if you look really closely in this scene, he's got her lifted up with no idea what to do with her. And his face is kind of blocked by her head, but you see the reaction that he has when he looks up and he sees the deer antlers. It's like, oh, you can see a physical change. And he's like, oh, now I know what to do. And then boom, I was watching that. I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. That's nice. Nice little piece of
moment
acting.
of giddiness, like, aha!
From an actor, by the way, who never acted before. This was his first film.
First role?
Very
Okay.
first role, which we'll talk about, in our trivia part of the wrap up here. But so it just leaves her hanging there.
Yeah, it's a sick image. Like it's pretty great. And you're probably wondering, where was Tommy for all this? How did he not hear anything?
Because they were making some noise.
Yeah,
I mean, I get the fact he had the music playing,
he
but
throws her over tables and stuff. Like it's like a fight.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't just a quick little he grabs her, boom.
Right.
No, there's a lot of noise, and Tommy's just like, it cuts down to him. He's just like, wonder where she's at.
Comes bouncing up, and he just stands there right next to her, not seeing her yet. He's looking around. He sees that there's damage. He's like, oh no, what's going
what
on?
happened
What
here?
happened here? And then he looks out of the corner of his eye, looks up, and she's hanging there. And then Billy. Now, I will say, he puts up one hell of a struggle.
He
and
does.
I actually thought he was going to slip away because he got his hands on one of those fire poker sticks, metal sticks. And
he fucks him up.
Yep.
He does a really good job.
He does. But in the end, he's overpowered. And I thought this was kind of a lame death because Billy throws Tommy out a window, second floor window. But then they do a close up of his body. And there's this same big shard of glass.
Like, that's lame. And then, it's the reveal of what actually happens to his body. We're like, oh, shit, okay.
Giant shard of glass sticking like in his neck, his head.
Yeah.
And
his body's all like contorted. It was actually a pretty solid kill.
Yeah, it definitely was. Definitely was. And now we have another random scene.
Very random.
I want to point out a possible blooper here. I'm not sure what happened, but we cut to Billy walking down a deserted highway. It's night still. He's left the house of horror.
Before we end that, the girl that is being babysat wakes up.
That's right.
And she encounters Billy, and she's like, "You like Santa Claus or something?" And he's just like, "Have you been nice or naughty?" And then he gives her the box cutter that he gutted that poor girl the store as a present.
Yeah. And that was very creepy too, because this girl is maybe 8 years old, 9 years old.
And you're kind of like, is he gonna kill her?
He's holding the box knife like he's gonna and I'm like, no, they're not gonna show this. They're not gonna show a kid getting carved up like this, and they didn't.
They don't. Yeah, he lets her go. But
she looks at the bloody box knife like, what is going? Yeah, thanks.
What am I gonna do with this?
Exactly. That's right. Then we jump out to where he's walking down the highway, and here's the thing: you hear a siren in the background, and you see a police car coming, but their flashing lights aren't on. Did you notice that was not, their lights were not on?
Okay.
Their headlights, but not the red and blue flashing lights. But the siren was going, which was odd. And it was like, I wonder if they just forgot to do this when they were filming it and nobody caught it. And then in post, they put in the siren and went, crap, we don't know how to put in that. We can't do the lights. We'll just leave it and no one will notice, except I noticed. Brian noticed. So anyway, I don't know if it was a blooper, if it was intentional, but it just little things like that I pick up on and go, that's interesting, because those lights should have been going. They're flying down the road looking for Santa because they know they have multiple murders.
How did they figure that out?
Well, because
who calls the cops on him?
Sister Margaret went into the store.
That's right. Okay.
Sister Margaret from the orphanage.
She heard that he was being used as the Santa, and she's just like, well, that's not good. So that's right. She goes to town and is just like, something's gonna happen. Yeah, she called the store that day just to check on Billy, and I think it was Andy that answered the phone and said, no, he's not back in the back right now. He's out front being Santa. Ho ho ho. Yeah. And that triggers her going, oh no, he can't. Yeah. That's gonna. So why it took her so long to get down to the store, I don't know, because it was daytime when she made the call, and then she shows up at night after everyone is dead and he's gone. I don't know how far out the orphanage is or what the deal is, but yeah. So then she actually called the police. That's we don't see it, but she's with the police. Yeah, that's right. At the police station. So that's how the police get involved. So now they're looking for Santa Claus, and we go to this other random scene. It's the bully scene. There are two teenagers out by themselves with sleds because it's winter and it's night, and they're going to go sledding. And they hear these sounds, and it's two other teenagers, two bullies that pop out. Teenage bullies that maybe look 37. Yeah. And they actually, this scene is kind of strange because the kids being bullied didn't act like they were intimidated by the bullies at all. No, it was very bizarre. This didn't work. They didn't look afraid when these guys jumped out of the bushes at them. They just were like, oh, it's Bob and Mac. Yeah, and, they didn't care. They didn't care. And so that scene to me would have been more effective had they actually been a little more afraid. And just the randomness of it all is just kind of bizarre too. You're like, why are you? Because it's not like they're at like a sledding hill. No. It's like I don't even know what this is. I don't know what it is either. It was just. Because it looks like a path. Yeah. Through the woods.
And some of the lighting, because I do like to look at some of the technical elements of filmmaking, and some of the lighting is off on this too. You can definitely tell how they lit this scene and with artificial light. And there's a way to do it without making it look, like it's artificial light. And this scene, you can definitely tell there's the color temperature, film term, the actual, hue of the light, if you will, was different from what was coming down behind them. So this was definitely kind of a technical scene, I don't know.
That budget showing.
Low budget.
Yeah.
They just didn't get it done. But so the bullies end up stealing the sleds, and the other two boys just wander off, I guess. But they didn't seem too terribly upset.
Yeah, they're just kind of, okay, well, let's just go home now.
Yeah. I mean, one of them did get put in a headlock, and they, you apologize to us.
Yeah, there was like
rude.
a little scuffle, but it was not much.
Not much at all. So one of the bullies gets on a sled and gets down the hill, and this is probably, I know I said the Christmas light scene was probably my favorite. I think this one is probably my favorite with the Christmas lights behind it. So the second bully gets on his sled and goes down, and this is the main bully. This is
like
the main
guy who's
bully.
actually really doing the bullying.
Exactly. And he's coming down, having a good time, and then Billy jumps out with his axe, and as he's flying by him, decapitates him.
Yep.
And the other kid at the bottom of the hill is waiting for the sled, and the sled shows up with his body
with no head. And then the head just rolls by afterwards.
Yep. It's yeah, exactly. So,
that's a good one. And that's another one where it's like, it's just so random that Billy was there and decided to jump in and punish this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it was a bully. He had a thing with bullies too. But
that's true. But yeah,
Bob the bully, kill number 10.
Bob the bully.
Opening kill counter. All right, now it's we're going to go back to daylight time, and the police are now convinced that Billy is going to end up back at the orphanage.
Yep,
that's his main goal, is to get back there and just mess up Mother Superior.
Yeah, that's the end target. And so, I mean, it had to have been a pretty good distance, because if he had been walking all night.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it is a pretty good distance to the orphanage.
Yeah, I think so too. And this is actually kind of a sad kill, this next one, kill number 11. So the police show up, this one officer shows up and pulls into the front of the orphanage, and the kids are out playing. And there's a man in a Santa suit who is reaching down for one of the kids, and the officer jumps out of his car and holds him at gunpoint. He's yelling at him, turn around. Santa doesn't respond, so he shoots him in the back multiple times.
Yep. Pretty gun happy on that.
Yeah, pretty gun happy. And then, of course, we find out that's not Billy. That's poor Father O'Brien, who is deaf and couldn't hear Mr. Police Officer telling him to turn around.
Is he a relative of yours?
No, definitely not a relative. But so he is kill number 11,
an accidental
shooting,
killing, by the police.
And that was Officer Barnes that did that. And then he's getting the riot act read to him by Mother Superior. Now,
I'm surprised she didn't start spanking him.
I know, with his own belt, right?
Naughty.
Stop. But so then we get into this interesting scene here.
This scene's actually pretty good.
It is pretty
with
good.
The tension. I'm like, okay.
It is, yeah. But then it bounces to the police station where Sister Margaret is with the police captain, and they're getting ready to go to the orphanage because they're already sending officers there. Obviously, one's there. Then they cut back to the orphanage. And here's my problem, Michael. Here is my problem with this whole thing. You have a death, a homicide. It's accidental. Got it. Okay. So you got a dead body. The police are aware because it's all over the police radio. We just saw that. So what we see is two paramedics with their back to the camera. They're wearing jeans, right? They're not wearing uniforms. They're jeans and a jacket.
Hell yeah.
And long hair. And they're putting the body into the ambulance. And then they get in and they go away. There is no police. There's one police officer there, but we don't see him. There are no more police there. There is no police crime scene tape. There is nothing. There's no investigation.
They just removed that body.
They removed the body, and that's it. They wrapped up the investigation in minutes. There's
Well, they had to
nothing
cover
going
it
on.
up.
Well, they did have to cover it up.
It was a police shooting.
So-
you can investigate that.
So that was kind of weird. It was just like, but just to watch the two paramedics almost in unison wearing the same jeans and jacket, and you don't see their face. And it just seemed like this scene was totally unnecessary. You didn't need it. It didn't add anything. And it just looks low budget. Like, we already know your film is low budget. We get it. You're doing a good job for the most part with the money you have.
You don't need to show us.
Yeah, don't show us that it's low budget by doing things like that. And they kind of did. But anyway, we get to the end game now, and I do kind of like this kill.
Yeah,
too.
this is the good tension scene. Surprisingly, I wasn't talking about the ambulance tension.
No, the ambulance tension. There was no tension with the ambulance.
No, none.
But Officer Barnes, who kills Father O'Brien accidentally, is now casing the perimeter of the orphanage because they still think he's there.
Yeah, you're like, there is going to be a Billy, though, so
There
we do
is.
have to actually keep looking.
And there's a little outbuilding, and you open the door, and there's a staircase that goes down.
And you like, it's one of those cool scenes where it's like you see the stairs enter blackness.
Yes.
So you're like, ugh, anything could be down there.
And he goes down there, and it looks like it's a furnace. or
Yeah,
something. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Kind of, yeah.
Right? And it's just this small little room, and there's no upstairs. You just the steps go from the door at top down, and he's looking around. There's nothing there. And then I know it's going to happen. I can telegraph this move from 100 miles away. He gets to the top of the stairs and then takes an axe to the chest from Billy, who finally arrived.
Billy wasn't down there.
Nope.
He was just waiting for him at the top.
Well, he had slammed the door, did something to make him go over.
Right. Yeah, he did something. I don't exactly remember what, but yeah, it's
Right.
Nice little chest kill with an axe,
Yep, and then he falls down the stairs, and then the last time we see Officer Barnes, he's crumpled up at the bottom of the stairs with a chest wound, and the axe, by the way, still there.
Yeah,
it has not. Oh, no, he did get. Did he take the axe? He did take the axe with him.
Oh, he does.
He does take the axe with him because now
there's a fun little And
I don't know. I like these little fun
I
moments.
do too. They're silly.
So the axe is dripping blood. And he passes by a little miniature snowman, and he just takes a whack and just decapitates the little snowman with the bloody axe.
I see the snowman's missing from our kill counter.
Okay, so Officer Barnes was killed 12. Let's make the snowman kill 12B.
Perfect.
Okay?
That's perfect.
All right. Officer Barnes is kill 12A, the snowman 12B. So you can be happy
We should name
about
him
that.
Frosty too.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
We should.
Poor Frosty.
And then we get to the end game, the very final scene here, and just what we thought was going to happen after he decapitates the little snowman or snow person. We don't know the gender, right? He goes to the front door, and so after Officer Barnes kills Father O'Brien, Mother Superior gets all of the kids and rushes them inside, and they lock everybody inside, and she leads them in Christmas carols and things like that, and just they're waiting for the police to show up. They've been warned that Billy could be on his way and probably is on his way.
Yeah, they were warned, don't open the fucking door.
So what does the little boy do when he sees Santa? One of the kids gets up and sees Santa at the door, and it's Billy.
Immediately, just, oh.
We should also add that Billy's infant brother, Ricky, from the beginning,
he's still
still in the orphanage.
Exactly.
He's obviously older now, but he's like 10, 11 years old. So the little boy lets him in just as Mother Superior turns and says, don't let him in.
Too late.
And he does. So he comes in with the axe. And so he's standing there in front of Mother Superior, who, for whatever reason, now is wheelchair bound.
And we're just like, you're just like hoping, you're like, fucking kill her. Kill her.
Do it. And so he does. He raises the axe right in front of her, and she closes her eyes because she knows what's coming. Then we hear gunshots because Captain Richards,
dumbass cop.
Captain Richards shows up with the sister.
Yeah.
And he shoots Billy in the back like 3 or 4 times. Billy goes down. And here's the thing, though, during the scene, you would think the kids would be screaming bloody murder, right? None of the kids
They're kind of cool.
They're kind of cool about it. They're just sitting there and looking at things, and there's not even a look of fear.
I mean, after
or
the
anything
abuse
else.
at the hands of Mother's Superior, I guess seeing Santa get gunned down isn't too bad.
I guess not, because the girls, the boys, none of them, nobody screams or moves or does anything. They just sit there like, is the scene over yet? Can we cut?
Exactly.
Is it lunchtime? Is it
We're
snack
hungry.
time? Nap time? So, it was kind of interesting that nobody reacted during that scene. And so Billy hits the ground and he says to all the children, "You're safe now. Santa Claus is gone."
Yeah.
And
which is just like almost like the evil had left him at that point.
Yeah.
It was a weird, like I kind of liked that scene,
Yeah.
but I was also just like, that's kind of weird.
And then you get the close up on Ricky, the little brother, who is now glaring at Mother Superior, and he just says one word: naughty.
I was so pissed that she lived, though. Oh my God, I
Yep.
was so mad.
Yep. So that was kind of what happened. That's how it ends. It just kind of, it freezes. They freeze frame on Ricky after he says that, and then they roll the credits, and then we go. Most of the actors in this film were unknown actors. I mean, there were a few familiar faces. Actually, Lillian Shalvin, who played Mother Superior, had a 60-year career in film. She was
I could see that.
very famous French actress who came to the United States, I think in the 50s.
Okay.
And she'd been in so much, I mean, big budget stuff. If you look her up on IMDb or on Wikipedia, she has been in a massive amount of film and television work, very well known, and she was great in that. But most of the people were all locals living in Utah where they shot this, including Robert Brian Wilson, who played the adult Billy. He'd never acted before until this film.
That's crazy.
His girlfriend actually encouraged him to audition for the film, and he did. And first time he gets a lead role in a low budget horror film. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's
not
pretty
too shabby.
good. So, and a lot of these actors also came from television. But yeah, it was interesting. Chris Sellier Jr., who directed the film, he actually was an odd choice, in my opinion. The producers wanted to find like the next John Carpenter.
Okay.
And they actually had talked to Sam Raimi to direct.
Really?
And a few other people were on this short list, but the studio, for whatever reason, TriStar wanted this guy to come in and direct. And this guy was known for more family-oriented things and American Pioneer type stuff.
Okay.
He created the Grizzly Adams TV series from the late 70s. Which was very popular. It was on for a couple of years, I think. And he also did a lot of Christian-based movies for families and stuff.
Interesting.
And I mean,
Okay.
he did do a few, adult things, but primarily this was not his genre. So whatever reason the studio had, they wanted to hire him to direct, and they did. I mean, they get the final say. And so the producers were like, well, what are we going to do? We can't argue with the studio. So that's actually what happened with him.
He didn't do terrible.
He didn't do terrible.
Yeah.
But the interesting fact, and I bring this up, he was so uncomfortable with the murder sequences that he brought in the film's editor to actually direct those scenes. He didn't direct them. He couldn't do it because he was
That
too
is
uncomfortable.
weird. Oh.
Yeah, so I thought that was very interesting that was done. And, back to the controversy that this thing caused, Robert Brian Wilson, newbie to the acting world, but he thought it should have been released more around Halloween. And
Probably
then
would have been better.
I think it would have been better. And then Lillian Shalvin, Mother Superior, also had kind of some harsh words for the marketing of the film. She did an interview in 2006. There was a documentary called Going to Pieces, The Rise and Fall of the Slasher Film.
Okay.
And they interviewed her for this, and she blamed the marketing. She said they should have focused on Billy's trauma and not so much the Santa Claus aspect of it. And she feels that, it probably would have lessened that. It wouldn't have been as controversial. Maybe. I don't know.
I think that's 100. I think she hit the nail on the head. If you focus on that, it's not a killer Santa.
Right.
It's a man with trauma, and now that automatically elevates it. Because instead, if you're just focused, it's just a slasher with Santa. Like, no. Now it's like there's emotional like baggage behind it, and it makes it seem a lot more intelligent, I guess.
I
Word.
guess.
Yeah.
I think that's the word. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think she's right.
Yeah, and maybe a Halloween release, might have done
And
wonders
not
for it too.
between episodes of Little House on the Prairie.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that would have been a good call as well.
That's pretty amazing right there. So there were some sequels. I don't want to get too in depth with these because they're not really worth it. If you like this
They're
one,
not even connected. I mean, the first sequel is, but anything else is like, I don't even know what it is. It's so off the rails.
Well, the second one, it focuses on the little brother.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like the first one, you'll like this one because they rehashed so much stock footage.
Yeah, it's literally the first 30 minutes is just footage of the first movie.
Yep.
Which is insane to me.
And then the third one, I think it's still on Ricky. And then the fourth and fifth ones were standalone films. They have nothing to do with the original. And those, I think the last one came out in 1990. There was a remake in 2012.
I did check this one out.
And what did you think?
I thought it was cool. It's nice. It's very early to like 2000s. It's got those like just the graininess of it, and it's solid. It's got a couple of big names. Malcolm McDowell's in it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
he is a ham in it. It works though, but yeah, he's definitely, some of his dialogue is incredibly cheesy, but the kills are very gory, and there's nothing to do with it's very much its own thing. They have a couple of scenes that are callbacks, but aside from that, it's its own thing, and I thought it was solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in 2021, they announced that they were going to do another remake.
Yep.
And
we've got the Terrifier Distributing Company is working on it, so I'm hoping that means it's going to be ridiculously gory.
I hope so.
Let's lean into this. Let's make it fun.
Yeah, I would hope so. I think that the series, I mean, you can reboot this and you can do it well. I think you have to have all the pieces in place. And not that this was a terrible movie. I mean, it was very low budget, and you have to expect things in low budget movies like this. And I think, but like we said at the beginning of the podcast, there's no redeeming quality on this thing. It's
dark.
It's dark
and it ends depressing.
It does. It really
there's
does.
no hero arc for our guy. He's just he's dead now.
And you get to really see follow up with the survivors. It just kind of cuts it off, and that's not that there are many survivors left. But anyway,
it's frustrating that Mother Superior doesn't learn anything. It's just she just continues to be awful, and no blowback for her. So yeah, for our opening kill counter, we've got a total of 13. With a little dash for the snowman,
little asterisk on the end of that.
Yeah.
So we did add the snow person, snowman, snow woman, whatever you want to call it, as a casualty because it was decapitated. Yeah. So 13 and a half kills.
Let's go with a half. That works for me. 13 and a half for the total kill counter.
So we still have our scare preview coming up. We're going to get into in just a moment, and we will also preview our next episode when we return. It is the Opening Kill Podcast.
Welcome to Jaunty Haunts, the podcast about all things supernatural. After 30 years of keeping a secret, I'm finally ready to share with the world that I see ghosts. This podcast is all about getting spooky and connecting with others who might also sense, see, or feel things beyond the ordinary. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, let's connect, share, and maybe feel a little less crazy together. Listen to the first 7 episodes now on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you podcast. That's JAUNTYHAUNTS. Jaunty Haunts. Stay spooky, ghoul friends.
And our friends Courtney and Sierra from Jaunty Haunts, make sure you check out that podcast. Okay, so we're going to get into our scare preview right now. Michael and I pick a film that we're excited about. And what is on your list?
So I'm really excited about The Monkey. Now, it is an adaptation of a Stephen King short story. And those are kind of hit or miss for me, so that didn't get me too excited. But when I saw Osgood Perkins is directing it, that's what hooked me, because Osgood Perkins, he recently did Longlegs.
Oh, that's
and
right.
He's got an incredible eye behind the camera. So it's going to look beautiful, and I think it's going to have some incredible tension, and some of the other names attached are pretty great. It's going to be produced by James Wan.
Okay.
His production company. And we've got Theo James, Elijah Wood, Colin O'Brien and Sarah Levy, who is Eugene Levy's daughter. You'd probably know her from Schitt's Creek. She's the waitress in that. And so I'm excited. I love Elijah Wood in horror. I think he's an underrated horror actor, and he always chooses really cool projects. So that him being in this, I'm like, okay, there is something to it. So I'm excited.
Yep.
And that comes out in February of 2025.
Okay. And we have The Damned as my choice. This comes out in January, early January. This film looks pretty incredible. It's basically, it's set in the 19th century, and these inhabitants at a remote coastal outpost witness a shipwreck, and it's very creepy. I don't even know what to compare it to. Directed by Thorder Paulson. And not really a lot of known names in it, but it looks very, very creepy. And I cannot wait for that. I think it's January 5th when that comes out. So,
yeah, you had me watch the trailer right before we started recording, and this thing looks special. I'd say if you have ever seen the AMC series The Terror, it has those kind of vibes. It's like old-timey Arctic shipwreck, kind of desolate area. It looks fun.
And it had its world premiere last June at the Tribeca Film Festival. And the rights were acquired, and it's going to be in theaters here soon. So it looks really, really good. I'm excited to check that movie out. So definitely. All right. So shall we kind of tell everybody what is coming their way next time?
So this will give you a chance to watch the movie, so you're prepared for when we drop the episode. We've got Krampus coming up in a couple weeks.
Love this movie.
It's a good one. It's great.
Love this movie. I watch this every year.
Yeah, it's a yearly one for me and my wife as well.
And something else we're going to be doing in January, because right now you get us every other Thursday.
Right.
We've had some people ask us, can we get more?
Yeah.
So we've been talking about it. We've been talking about it. Starting in January, we will be going weekly.
Yep. So you don't have to wait 2 weeks.
I know, because 2 weeks is
it's
a
too
lot
long.
of lot of time.
Especially when we've got such great content.
So starting in January, every Thursday, we will bring you a new film and other features as well. Make sure you listen to us and you subscribe and you like and you tell everybody you know.
Yes, word of mouth. It's got to be big. So just keep spreading the word if you like what you're hearing. And subscribing also does help a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, we're growing. Like I said earlier, we've got listeners in the UK now. We are thrilled about that. So keep them coming.
Yeah.
We will talk to you in 2 weeks with Krampus.
The Opening Kill podcast with Michael Duran and Brian O'Connor. Produced by Mystic Cloud Productions. Music by Tomas Herodek. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in 2 weeks.